The sun is a merciless god in this land. It bleaches the cracked earth, hammers the sparse acacia trees, and bakes the silence into a ringing in the ears. For the clan, 30-7 strong representatives of Homo erectus, the sun is a constant reminder of their exposure. They move in a tight cluster, a small, sweating island of flesh and fear in an ocean of ochre dust. The children walk in the center, their small hands gripping the hide wraps of their mothers. The hunters, lean and hard, mine aside, form a perimeter, their stone minus-tipped spears held low. They scan the horizon not for gain, but for interruptions in the endless blue above. It is a world where the greatest threat to these ancient humans does not stalk on four legs, but glides on two wings. Their cry goes up from the rear. It is Owen, his face turned to the sky, his pointing finger trembling. The clan freezes. They follow his gaze. At first, it is nothing, a speck, a mote of dust on the eye of the sky god. But it grows. It resolves itself into a shape of impossible geometry, a long, spear-like head, a vast diamond of taut membrane, a shadow without a sound. This is how it always begins. The Quetzalcoatlus does not roar. It simply arrives, a silent verdict delivered from on high. The terror is not in a sound, but in the sudden, chilling absence of it, as if the world itself holds its breath. Its wings, wider than three tall men lying end to end, beat the air with slow, deliberate strokes that feel more like a force of nature than the movement of a living thing. Panic is a contagion. The hunters from a bristling circle, spears pointing upward in a futile gesture of defiance. Mothers pull their children under them, trying to make their own bodies a form of shelter. Kale, the elder whose face is a map of droughts and famines, watches the creature's circling descent. He has seen this too many times. He understands its cold patience, its terrifying intellect. This is not a random encounter. The beast knows their migration path. It has been shadowing them for days, picking them off one by one, a farmer tending his scattered, terrified flock. It is a chapter of hominid history written in blood and desperation. A harsh lesson in the brutal reality of the food chain where the evolution of bipedal offered no defense against death from above. The great pterosaur makes another pass. Lower this time. The wind from its wings is a physical blow, kicking up a blinding storm of dust and fear. Its sky, a black, pitiless bead, scans the huddled mass of humanity, selecting its target with the detached air of a connoisseur. This is the primal fear to be seen, to be chosen. The clan can do nothing but wait for the fall of the carrot and no US beak. A lance of bone named at their heart. The dive comes. It is not a rush of feathers but a plummet of leather and bone. The Quetzalcoatlus folds its wings and falls from the sky like a thrown spear. The air rips apart with a sound like tearing hide. Owen, who first saw the danger, is the one who meets it. He stands his ground, spear raised. A final, futile act of defiance from one of the clan's most promising young hunters. The carrot, no US beak, long and sharp as an obsidian shard, strikes him not with a bite, but with the percussive force of a falling tree. The impact is a sickening crunch of bone and flesh. The beast does not land. In a seamless, horrifying motion, it unfurls its wings, the talons on its wing-minus joints grabbing the broken body, and with three powerful beats, it is climbing again, ascending into the pitiless blue with its prize. The clan is left in the thunderous silence of its wake, staring at the spreading red stain on the dust. There is no time for grief. Kale's voice, rough as grinding stones, cuts through their shock. Move into the Badlands. The command is insane. The Badlands are a death sentence of a different kind, a labyrinth of canyons and ravines where water is a memory in game is non-existent. But Kale's old eyes see a sliver of hope in the madness. The sky-minus-air is a creature of the open plains, a hunter that needs vast spaces to soar and dive. The tight, twisting confines of the canyons might offer a different kind of sanctuary. It is a desperate gamble, trading the certainty of a quick death for the high probability of a slow one. This is the brutal calculus of survival skills in a prehistoric world. They run. For 2 days, they push themselves past the limits of endurance, a frantic migration deeper into a world of stone and shadow. Thirst becomes their constant companion, and the sun their tormentor. On the 3rd morning, they emerge from a narrow wash onto a vast, glittering salt flat, and they see it. At first, the mind refuses to comprehend the scale. It looks like a range of low, white hills shimmering in the heat. But they are too uniform, to gracefully curve, as they draw closer. Gasping in the dry air, the truth reveals itself. It is a skeleton. A god laid to rest. Kale stops, his breath catching in his chest. He saw one once, in his youth, a living mountain of flesh that shook the earth, an Argentinosaurus. But this one has been dead for an age, its bones scoured clean by sun and sand. The monument to a power that dwarfed even the terror in the sky, the Ribcage, vast enough to swallow the entire clan, arches towards the sky like the vaulted ceiling of a cave made of bone. The spine is a ridge longer than their entire camp. Here, on a veritable prehistoric planet, lay the remains of one of the largest dinosaurs to have ever walked. The clan stares in silent awe, a mixture of religious fear and profound exhaustion. But Kale sees something else. He sees a cage, a fortress. He sees the gaps between the colossal ribs, gaps that could be filled. He looks at the shattered smaller bones scattered around the behemoth's corpse and sees the raw materials of their salvation. This is the birth of osteodontocratic technology, not as a theory, but as a desperate, brilliant necessity. He turns to his people, his eyes burning with a new world fire. They will not run anymore. They will build. The labor is titanic, a task for giants, not for this small band of early humans. Day after agonizing day, they work under the shadow of the colossal ribs. They use the smaller bones of the Argentinosaurus, the shattered fibulae, the plate minus-like vertebrae from its tail as tools and building materials. This is primitive technology born from pure desperation, with strips of hide and sinew harvested from a desperate hunt against a lone triceratops. They begin to weave a crude but strong lattice in the wide gaps between the ribs. It is a slow, brutal process. They hoist the heavy bones, their muscles screaming in protest, their hands raw and bleeding. The community, once defined by the fluid motion of the hunt, now finds its rhythm in the grunting effort of construction. The children, too small to live, gather smaller rocks and wedge them into the gaps. The women, with deft fingers, weave mats of tough desert grass to create a shield against the sun and the prying eyes from above. It is a work of collective will, an act of defiance against the world that wants them dead. They are no longer nomads. The fires burn day and night in the heart of the Ribcage, the smoke curling up through the bony latticework like incense in a holy place. They have found a small, brackish spring nearby, enough to sustain them. For the first time, there is a sense of permanence, the beginning of sight enters air. The children play, their laughter echoing strangely against the ancient bone, the sound of life in a hall of death. But the sky is never truly empty. They see the specks, circling high above, watching, waiting. The Quetzalcoatlus know their prey has gone to ground. The attack comes at dusk. Not one, but two of the flying terrors descend. Their shrieks stare the evening stillness, the sound of pure malice. They do not dive this time. They land just outside the bone fortress, stalking around it like enormous, nightmarish stalks. They are intelligent. They probe the walls with their lance-minus-like beaks, searching for a weakness. The sound of their keratin heads tapping and scraping against the bone wall is the sound of a coffin being sealed. One of the beasts finds a larger, less fortified gap near the base and thrusts its head through, its black eyes swiveling wildly, its beak snapping in the firelight. Panic erupts. But Kale is ready. Now, he roars. From the top of the Ribcage, two hunters push a massive, sharpened thigh bone. It slides down the curve of the rib and impales the pterosaur's neck, pinning it to the ground. The creature thrushes, Its death screams a horrifying cacophony. The second Quetzalcoatlus, enraged and perhaps startled by a foe that fights back from within a shell, launches itself into the air. It makes one furious, swooping pass, its beak tearing away a section of the woven roof, before the volley of sharpened stones and desperate spears from the clan drives it away, a squawking silhouette retreating into the twilight. Silence falls, broken only by the dying gasps of the beast trapped at their door. They have done it. They have held the wall. Their fortress of bone, a monument to the dead, has become the cradle of their future. The view pulls back, rising from the smoke of the clan's triumphant fire. The great skeleton, now a flicker of light and life, shrinks until it is just a strange, pale scar on an endless, indifferent landscape. This single act of desperate architecture is more than a footnote in hominid history. It is a declaration. For countless millennia, the story of human evolution was one of flesh yielding to claw, of soft bodies scattered by overwhelming power.
And
Here,
constant vigilance
in this cathedral of bone, that narrative was broken. The first wall was not built against other people. It was built against gods and monsters. It was the physical manifestation of an idea that the brain, not the bicep, was the ultimate weapon. That foresight and cooperation could transform the remnants of a fallen titan into a shield against a living one. Every fortress, every city, every towering achievement of mankind that would one day scrape the sky owes its conceptual ancestry to this desperate gamble. The first act of turning world's terrifying power back on itself. It begs the question that a future archaeology may never answer: how many times before this did our ancestors try and fail? And what instinct, what stubborn spark of defiance, made this small clan finally succeed in caging the sky? This is the chronicle of the whispers that became our voice. History written in the earth, when giants walked and our ancestors learned to stand. But survival in one land is merely an invitation for a new kind of death in another.